Hello, photographers. I'm not frozen.
Yeah.
How's it going? Happy Monday. Whew. Mark, how are you doing?
Oh, can't complain. It's been a busy, crazy week. That's I guess a couple of weeks I haven't gotten out and done a whole heck of a lot of anything, like especially photography related in the past couple of weeks. So, but
Uh,
what can you do though?
yeah, sometimes that's all you can do. All
Yeah.
right, so we got to say hello to Ricky and Harley and Brenda and Steve and Diana and Sandy and Sandy and Classic Mama. I think that's everybody who's here currently. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We were chatting. This is kind of funny. There's a fellow YouTuber named Nick Nimmin who makes videos about doing well on YouTube. And Harley said when he saw the thumbnail, he thought I was Nick Nimmin. And I put this in the chat, but this is something that's pretty hilarious. Nick and I are friends on Facebook, and I'll upload photos of myself, and Facebook constantly suggests that I tag Nick
Yep.
instead of myself. And it does the same thing to Nick, where he'll upload a photo of himself, and it suggests that he tag it as me. So it's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, so I know that I didn't get a photo done for this challenge. I know that Mark, you said you didn't get a photo done. It happens,
Nope,
right?
unfortunately.
Steve's house is torn apart, so he didn't get a photo done. But Brenda says she's doing great. I love my toy photo. We have some photos uploaded that look pretty awesome, right, Mark?
Yep, absolutely. We took a sneak peek at them.
Yes, yes. So I'm excited to take a look at these. And, real quick, I'm going to save Ricky's settings so that they don't get lost in the chat feed. So I'm just going to pop those over here so I don't lose them. And I didn't get mine done because so my plan was to try to shoot it this past weekend. And some of you know I took a trip to Arkansas with my wife. She was having a girls' weekend with some of her friends from high school. And I was going to hole up in an Airbnb and work. And I did do that. I just didn't get near the amount of work done that I wanted to. And when you do a thing like that, at least for me, I always have aspirations for a certain amount of work, expect that I'll get maybe half of it done, just because, you always kind of get ambitious with things like that. Well, I didn't even get a quarter of it done. There was a video that I've been working on that was I'm not even done with it yet. It's way more work than I expected it was going to be. And so I basically only worked on one video for the entire time that I was down there. But also, I really didn't have as much time as you might think. Because when I say weekend, we left on Thursday and drove all day Thursday for 6 hours on Thursday. And then my wife and I stopped in St. Louis at an Airbnb where we chilled out and, just had a nice evening together. And then Friday drove the rest of the way from St. Louis to Arkansas, dropped her off, and then I had to drive another hour to get to my Airbnb. So that was 6 or 7 hours in the car on Friday. And we didn't leave right away in the morning. So in the morning, we spent a little bit of time in the morning just kind of relaxing as well, not in a rush to get off on things. And then by the time I got to my Airbnb, it was 8 o'clock. So I got to work for a couple of hours, but I was so tired from driving, I couldn't really even think straight. Saturday was the day for me to work, and I got as much as I could done in that day. But like I said, it wasn't nearly enough. And then Sunday and Monday, we're driving again. So I've only been home for 4 hours today, and been trying to get stuff done. But hey, that's how it goes sometimes, right? So that was my weekend. How was your weekend, Mark? And how was everybody else's weekend? Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, before I go into my new purchase that I've got, I was going to ask you, when you, out of curiosity, do you script them or do you sort of do it all free for all, or?
Good question.
Kind of curious how you do that.
It depends on the video. So usually when I'm doing a demonstration video, like I'm showing something on in Lightroom or something like that where I'm at the computer, those are usually not scripted because I'm basically narrating what I'm doing and explaining the things. And I'll have like bullet points or notes to make sure I hit all the things that I want to show. But those I don't script out. On the other hand, when I'm talking about a particular topic, like the videos that I do on Tuesdays, which are the photography tutorials, like the one that I just did this past week about the best portrait settings. Those I tend to script because I want to make sure that I say things exactly the right way to convey the information as cleanly as possible without any extraneous fluff in it. The video that I was working on is a video showing. It's a video comparing 6 different editing apps for the iPad, raw photo editor, so like Lightroom, Pixelmator Photo, Affinity Photo, all of these other apps. And I didn't think I needed to script it because I figured, I'm working on the iPad, doing a demo, I can just talk about it. But I realized this isn't the same sort of video because I'm not showing how to use the apps. I'm comparing the performance and the raw editing of them. So I'm actually going to end up scripting it. But that's after I did a bunch of prep work, actually doing all of the comparisons, making all of my notes, editing photos in all the different apps so that I could compare them. Like, it was just a ton of work. So anyway, let's see. Hope you did more than relaxing at that Airbnb. I didn't. I mean, I did a little bit of relaxing, but honestly, I was working the whole time I was there. Yeah, I probably should have relaxed a little bit more, but especially because by the end of the day, I was actually kind of stressed out because I didn't get nearly the amount of work done that I wanted to. So I was a little bit frustrated with myself. But whatever. That's life sometimes.
Yeah. What can you do, right?
Yeah, exactly. What can you do? Michael says, happy belated Father's Day to all. And Ricky says, kind of busy weekend, Father's Day celebrations and whatnot. This sounds terrible, but I forgot it was Father's Day on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm hiding my face.
That's funny. I usually forget, and I actually called my dad to wish him a happy Father's Day, and he ended up not even talking to him.
Hello, Cyberdoc. How you doing, buddy? And hello to I Love, who is popping into the challenge. Okay, that's enough jibber jabber. We should take a look at these photos, hey?
I was going to mention my recent purchase.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. You were going to talk about that. Then you asked your question. Yeah, Mark, tell us what you got, because this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so everyone who's a regular here, a few weeks ago, one of the photo blabs that we had, and I was talking about a variable ND filter that I got and how basically it ended up being a piece of crap. I decided to bite the bullet, and I bought into the Kokens. I've got the filter holder here, and one of the ring adapters to fit on my 70 to 200 lens. But I've also ordered my 24 to 70, and also ordered some circular polarizer, three hard NDs and one soft edge and ND filters, and also a 10 stop, a full 10 stop, because just for doing some nice long exposure. So I've got all that stuff on order.
Okay, so, when is that supposed to arrive?
The variable ND is coming from the UK. I bought it off of Amazon.com. The other stuff is coming from B&H. Some of the stuff they had in stock, so it's on its way now, and the other stuff is backward, so it might ship out in a week or two.
Okay. Got a bug flying around me. So like you said earlier before we started, with those, you're actually going to have to make some time to get out there and take some damn photos, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, here's the $64,000 question. Are you going to make any videos for your YouTube channel about these filters?
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Right, exactly.
It's probably actually even just this is what I got, and this is kind of what I'm planning on doing type thing.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
see.
Yeah.
I always had these great plans that never end up happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's a lot of work. It's hard. It's hard work. But
Yeah,
anything worth doing is usually hard work. So.
yeah, exactly. 'Cause
Ooh.
I keep having ideas for other videos I want to do. Like I want to do the Pentax cameras, basically sort of maybe like a 3-part series on shooting old manual lenses on the Pentax systems, because they can sometimes be a little bit tricky if you're new to it, because you can't just put an old lens on and expect it to work. So I thought I might do something like that as well too. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That'd be a good set of videos to make, I would think.
yeah, I think so. Sort of like start off one episode with just the lenses, and then another episode of the settings of the camera and stuff like that, and then the final one actually shooting, and how to get your exposure right and everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right. Should we take a look at these photos?
sure, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, actually, sorry. We got a couple comments here. Harley says, I have some ND filter videos planned for my channel. That's awesome. I'll have to check those out when those
Nice.
come up, Harley. And Michael says he got almost the exact same kit from Koken USA.
Yeah, I tried to buy direct from them, but they won't. So I had to end up getting through B&H.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at these photos. We're going to start with Sandy's photo, Sandy Seuss's photo. And I saw this one and I just chuckled because I thought this was great. Sandy says, this is Gumby and Pokey hanging out at the skate park. And Sandy shot with the Canon 5D3, 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8. She used a ISO of 1250, an aperture of f2.8, and a shutter speed of 1/320th of a second.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Okay. I definitely love the concept, being old fogey like I am. I totally get the Gumby and Pokey thing,
Right.
and I love how I actually went to the trouble of actually setting up a skateboard park per se, and
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. The one thing I would have liked to have seen is probably if it was shot more at maybe 5.6, so that both of your figures were a little bit more in focus, because I know they're both there, but having the one guy out of focus as much as he is, I find it a little distracting, because he is technically part of the scene and they kind of go hand in hand, these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I like it. It's the fact you used a higher ISO doesn't bother me at all, because it was obviously shot indoors. You don't have much of a choice there, unless you.
Right.
I guess he could have gone with a tripod and what have you too, because these guys obviously weren't moving unless he happened to be rolling down the hill on a skateboard. But
Right.
but yeah, but I do like it. Like I said, the only thing I would myself like to see is a greater depth of field, just to get them both in focus, or pretty close to it anyways.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Cyberdoc says, good things. There's no blockheads lingering. This is fun. Ricky says, nice. That takes me back. It's such a playful photo. I agree. I think this is super fun. Hey, Coach Easthart, how you doing? Coach Easthart says, love this. Childhood memories. Absolutely. Brenda says, love this. Love the background too. Harley says, this is a fun photo. I agree. I particularly like the background and the way the background complements the nostalgia and the theme of the photo with the Donkey Kong and the other posters. And those are mostly thrown out of focus with the shallower depth of field. And I think that's a good choice, because I think if they weren't, that would distract. But I do think you're right. I wasn't really bothered by Pokey being out of focus until you mentioned it, and then I realized that you're right. It would probably be nice if they were both in focus, since they're such a pair, you know, together. But it'd be a balancing act, because you don't want to pull in so much that you get the background elements, the poster starting to come in. So yeah, just increasing that depth of field a tiny bit more to bring Pokey in. Okay, so Sandy says I had one where Pokey was in focus and I didn't like it as much. Okay, got it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you actually tried it instead of just taking this one photo. It's like, okay, there you go. So you were experimenting and trying different things. So
yeah.
kudos for that for sure.
And I think part of what works is the fact that Pokey kind of points to Gumby, and Gumby being in focus is more of the focus of the shot. Gumby on the skateboard, rather. So I think that's why it didn't really bother me until you mentioned it. And the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, I'm either way on it, honestly. One of the things I do like, Sandy, is that you did this with that kind of crushed look, the crushed blacks, the flatter sort of cinematic look, which gives it a bit of a vintage feel. And I think that's appropriate for this based on the characters and the kind of nostalgia of the theme. So I really like it. I think this is super fun. I think it's a great shot.
Definitely super fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have to confess, like, as I've been looking at these photos, I am super disappointed that I didn't get to create mine, because I wanted to do something fun like this, and I just didn't have time for it. But anyway, it is a great shot.
Yeah. Come the end when we're done going over them, remind me to mention what I thought would have for my toy shot.
Okay. And quick reminder, the link just got posted into the chat. You can vote on the next challenge theme now, and voting is open until the end of the show. The 4 options for the next challenge are black and white, reflections, smartphone, where you can only use your smartphone to shoot and or edit the photo, and fantasy. So go vote. Right now, black and white is the by and far ahead winner of this vote. So shp.photo/vote to go check that out. I love says, I love how the character colors pop. Yeah, I think that's one of the nice things about it. They stand out really nicely against that more crushed background. Cochise Heart, I can't remember what the Gumby voice sounds like. Otherwise, I'd do it. Like, I'd have to YouTube it up. Do you remember what Gumby sounds like, Mark?
No, to be honest, I never really watched these guys that much. Like, I recognize them. I know that they're Gumby and Pokey, but to see them as, like, I don't know which one is which, and I probably saw the show, but seen it enough to really remember who is who and what the voices were.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm going to actually try to get some Gumby up here. Start talking, Gumby.
I love says.
Oh, I can't. It's not. Oh, I'm not going to waste any more time. It's not any talking. All right, let's get on to the next photo. Okay, this is Brenda's photo. This is really interesting. This is really cool. Okay, let me get Brenda's details here. Let's see. Brenda, I don't see the details for your photo. And if you posted them, it's my fault because I didn't have the page open earlier enough. So if you could share your details in the chat, that would be fantastic. In the meantime, Mark, I'll just let you go ahead and start with this one, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah, no, this one's definitely a fun one. I love how you've used the lights inside of, well, I'll call it the fairy house, or how it's basically lighting everything up. And then you've got all these little fairy lights in the background too, just to really add to it. And you got the one fairy flying, so that's kind of cool. I'm assuming you used a string or a fish wire or something and fishing line, and edit it out afterwards. But or maybe you didn't even see it. I don't know, but it still looks good. I love it. And just the way you've got them posed, looking in there, trying to get in there, or rescue the one who's in there trying to get them out, whatever the case is. But this one's a good one to tell a really interesting story. And I also like how you've put the fairy house on the third too, so you've also used excellent composition on this as well too. So it's kudos for that. I don't really see it to me that says, okay, maybe you could have tried this a little bit differently or tried that a little bit differently, because it's, like I said, the composition's great. You haven't cut on the fairy house or cut off any of the feet or anything of any of the fairies. A well executed shot.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's wonderful. I love it. Cyberdoc, this is hilarious. Cyberdoc says, "Are they busting the bad angel out of the joint?" That made me laugh. Cochise Heart says, "Wow, lots of work for this. Very cool." Sandy loves the floating fairy. Ricky asked how she got the one angel to fly, and she said a clear cord, so like some kind of a fishing line type cord or whatever. Hey, Vicky. Noisy Mama says that's so cute. Great shot, love the light. Ricky says, yeah, this is really wonderful. I love the setup that you did here. Brenda, I'm curious how challenging did you find this? Because I know when we were voting on this on the last show, Brenda, you wanted something else because you didn't think this would be as challenging. And I love what you did here with this photo. I think it's really wonderful. I love that you hung the wand to make it fly, and I like how you use these two different things together to combine and create this scene that tells a story. It does look a little like they're trying to bust the fairy inside out of the lamp or the joint. Idea's not challenging, she said. Execution was. That's the point, though, right? Yeah. Sometimes the execution is challenging, right? So. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that it was challenging for you, because that's a good thing. That helps with the growth. And this is great. Absolutely. Like all the different elements that you brought together here really tell a story. The lights in the background make it feel like it's a starry night. Hanging that fairy to make it fly helps add to the story. The one looking in, the lights from the other one as part of the scene from the lamp are really fantastic. Like all of that is really, really excellent. So Brenda's settings for this were ISO 400, f4.8, and 1/20th of a second with a 40 millimeter focal length. The one thing that I would say is
tripod. I wonder.
Yeah, I'm not. Did you use a tripod, Brenda? At 1/20th, you're right on the edge of like being able to handhold, and you may or may not have. I mean, I think as far as like sharpness goes, it looks great. So handheld or not, you know, you got like really nice detail and everything in there. Yep, tripod, she says. Okay. She says, yeah. I love says, with black background, you did not need to spot remove the fishing line, he's wondering. Might not have had to, depending upon what it, you know, that black background, but there might have been a little bit showing. So yeah, curious, Brenda, did you edit out the fishing line, or did it just happen to be that when you shot it, it wasn't showing because of that background?
Yeah, my guess is it probably wasn't showing because of the low light levels too.
Right. Yeah, she did a lot of erasing of the cord and the light cords for the lights in the background. That makes a lot of sense, editing all of that out. Okay. And that's a good exercise too, as well, which is really fantastic. Here's the one thing I would say is in the lamp on the bottom, those lights are really hot, meaning that they're really bright. And around those lights in the, you know, the material that I think is supposed to emulate clouds, you've lost some detail from those lights. And because they are a light source, it's always hard to balance that out. So that's an area where, and I know you're just starting to experiment with RAW. So this is like for future stuff. And if you shot this RAW, you could maybe even go back and play with this a little bit. But trying to recover the highlights in that cottony material in the lamp so that those hot spots aren't quite so hot. They're still going to be brighter because they're light in there, but they're so bright that you're just losing a lot of that detail around there. Trying to bring that down. Okay, so she said it was raw. Going back and seeing if you can do highlight recovery just to see if it's there. The thing is, if you do the highlight recovery, that would change the entire edit, so you'd have to like re-edit the whole thing all over again. And I'm not suggesting you have to do that unless you want to, of course. But that's a thing to watch out for and think about in the future. When you see those really bright spots like that, using the highlight recovery slider if you have one in your raw editor. Also, another thing you can do is try to expose in a way. Okay, so I haven't figured out how to edit a section of the photo. Let me show you how you do that. And Brenda, what are you using to edit your RAW files right now? Are you using the software that was included with your Nikon camera, or are you using that Corel Photo software to edit the raw as well as to do the Photoshop style editing. Let me know, and then I can try to show you how you would do that. In fact, I can just show you the basic principle. This is the same basic principle in all raw photos, which is you're in your raw editor to do this, to do the highlight recovery. So let me show you what I mean. Let me find a photo that will work for this. So like this photo right here, this, if you look at her hair and look at some of the areas on her face, it's really bright. It's overexposed. And I did that on purpose because I knew I'd be able to do this highlight recovery. So it looks overexposed, but there's still detail and information there. And with your raw editor, you usually have these different sliders you can work with. And the one that I'm talking about specifically is this highlight slider right here. So you can see what happens here when I pull that highlight slider to the left. What it's doing is it's looking at the highlights in the image, and it is just pulling those highlights back in. It is recovering the information in the highlight areas only. So all I have to do to do the highlight recovery is use this slider. There's obviously more to editing the raw in general than just that highlight slider, but you can see how easy it was. It's literally just taking the slider, and I'm pulling it all the way back to -100 to show you, but you wouldn't necessarily always pull it back that far. You pull it back to wherever you feel, it works for the photo. So take a look at that in your raw editor and see if it has a highlight slider so that you can give that a try. All right. Let's see. I Love says it gets easier once you play around with Lightroom. It absolutely does. I agree with that.
Oh, yeah, and, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lightroom's not even that complex. It does have some advanced features, but generally, it's pretty.
It's basically sliders.
Yeah, it's basically sliders for the most part, and it doesn't take long to get the basics down for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really not that difficult. So Cyberdoc says I need help with this using Corel as well. I don't use Corel. I'd have to look at it myself. I mean, I don't even have the software.
I've never even looked at it either.
Hey Drew, how's it going, bud? Okay, let's take a look at Ricky's Iron Man photo. I saw this and I was like, oh, this is just absolutely fantastic. I really like this shot. So Ricky sent me, he put this info in the chat. This was shot with a Nikon D500 and a 60mm f2.8 lens. I believe that's a macro lens. The aperture that he used was f4. The ISO was 1000, and it was 1/100th of a second shutter speed. This was lit by window light and with a lume cube, using a diffusion dome on the lume cube off at camera left. Mark, go ahead.
This is cool. I like it. I think the aperture choice was good because being this close, if you had shot it, wide open at like 2.8, I think you would have just lost too much detail. So, like choice, I definitely like the way you have it lit there. It really adds the detail and some highlights to the Iron Man outfit, which when you kind of think of Iron Man, you think of a nice shiny outfit with bright highlights. So it's definitely well suited, I think. I'm assuming the hands being lit up. I guess there could be actually LED lights in this, couldn't there? I was thinking maybe it's done in post, but then it was like maybe it does have. It was done in post. Okay.
Yep, Ricky said the chest, eyes, hand pulses were all done in Lightroom.
Okay. Oh, that's pulling that off in Lightroom is a bit of a challenge. I'd almost think of that as a Photoshop job, but I guess he basically just used the what the hell is that tool called?
The brush or the radial gradient. Yeah,
exactly. It turned out quite good. I really like this picture. It's a well thought out. And again, similar to pictures using good position rules of third. You got basically Iron Man on the third, and then his arms going across on the top third. So excellent. Yeah,
this is awesome. I love this shot here. Oh, that's cool. Ricky says the hands actually have pegs that you can use to put fake little like toy blasts on there, which is awesome. And he said, but I think
No,
they look fake, so he made them in post.
nice.
Yeah. So Vicky says, cool shot. You captured the action. Brenda says, very cool. Cochise Heart says it's a super sweet photo. Cyberdoc loves the lighting on his body. It's a powerful shot. I love says, nice but hot hands. That was the intent, though, there with that. To simulate the blast. I love this. I absolutely love this. I think your lighting with the window light and the Lume Cube is really fantastic. The post edits you did to add the glow to really bring out the Iron Man look and feel is just stellar. The only thing I would say is the one, and this is because a little bit because of Lightroom, but you could have done this differently. I'm not sure which tool you used, Ricky. If you use the radial like Mark said, or if you use the brush tool, but the one in the left hand is a little too perfect, being perfectly circular. And it would be better if it had like a little bit of variation to it and it didn't look quite so perfect. So if you use like the radial gradient, that's going to give you a pretty good shape. Whereas if you take like the brush tool and literally just kind of make sort of a shape in there to do the adjustment, that's going to give it a little bit more of a realistic look and feel because there's going to be some variety to the shape in the power blast growing in the hand. But that's like honestly the only criticism that I would have for it. I think everything else is really stunningly executed. I'm not sure if you did this in post or if it's just the way it came out in lighting, but it looks like you did a little bit of crushing the blacks, and I like that. Again, I think it adds a really nice feel to the shot. It's just superbly done. I agree with what you said about the composition, Mark. Like, it's a really powerful pose too. It's like that T shape, and then the legs are coming out in a triangle, and that also adds a lot of strength to the shot. It's really, really cool. Okay, yeah, he says, I used the radial and colored it a little yellow. And
Yeah.
great idea to do. Again, just adding some variety to that shape would be really fantastic.
Yeah, well, even the radial tool, can you? I don't use it that often. I'm just wondering if even if it had a more of a feather to it instead of just a harder edge, might have made a bit of a difference too.
It might. I still think it might be too uniform, even with that feathering. Yeah, but it definitely has a feathering tool.
Yeah.
Yep, he did crush the blacks a little bit. I think that was a good choice. I think that was a really good choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, he says, yeah, you can oval and feather it. That is correct. Yeah, very nicely done. Brenda says it needs a trail maybe. You could add a trail to it. I would be careful with that because if the trail goes out of frame, then your eyes are going to follow that, and it's literally going to take you out of the image, and you might not end up coming back to it. So that's the danger in something like that. If it was a wider shot, then having a trail going out a little bit but not exiting the shot entirely might be all right. But I like this really tight shot. I really, really like this. And for me, I don't think it needs a trail. You could add trails, but I don't think it needs it. I was thinking, yeah, exactly. That's how I think of it. Ricky says, I was thinking of it as powering up, and that's exactly how I see it. Like he's getting ready to blast.
Yeah, that's the way I see it too.
Awesome. All right, let's take a look at this next shot. This is awesome. This is Dean's shot, if I recall correctly. Let me just double check. Let's see. I'm pretty sure this is Dean's shot. I don't know where I got that idea, but that's what I'm going with until I see otherwise.
Yeah, until Dean says no, it's not
yeah,
mine.
yeah. Okay, this is Captain America shot with the D810. It's a 6-inch figure. There was a large softbox used for the background to white out the background, and then a 1/2 power snooted light at camera left and a 1/4 power at 1/4 power. So that one's actually lighting up Captain America, and then. This was shot at ISO 160 and an aperture of f8 at 1/60th of a second. At 1/60th of a second with a 60 millimeter macro lens. And then Dean added the text in Photoshop for a GQ Vogue style cover shoot. And he also says, thanks for last week's comments. He'll catch up in the rerun. And he says, sorry, you can't make the live broadcast, which is no big deal. It's totally understandable if you can't make the live broadcast. This is super cool. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I agree. I think it's it's definitely very well executed. It looks like an actual magazine color, and
Yep.
and I love Blab in it. That just basically sort of tops the whole thing right there. And
Yep.
yeah, it did. I think this is definitely well executed. I like the lighting, and I was wondering whether or not he had been cut out of the background or not. He used a softbox to make the background white, so that's good. It was basically all, for the most part, all done like that, just with the lettering added afterwards. So that's it's a very good job. It could be an actual magazine cover.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's awesome. It's it's a great way to interpret this challenge, right? The execution of it is fantastic. The background with the softbox, like you said, the snoot to light Captain America up, and then putting all of these elements in to create this cover. To me, it looks like a comic book or a magazine that you would find on the newsstand. I mean, I just think like, I love the call out to Photo Blab on there. Like, the whole thing is just really fantastic. I mean, honest to God, like, I think this is just brilliantly executed, and I cannot find flaw with it. Like, there's nothing here that I would change. I think my favorite is the adamantium or vibranium question. I just love that little call out right there too. Get back in shape with Falcon and Bucky. Like, this is just a fan.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's just so good, right?
So Tony Stark's top 10 party anthems.
Yeah.
Gotta be AC/DC, of course.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just so well executed. I love the idea, and I love the follow through on it. Like, brilliant work, really brilliant work.
I like the special report. What superheroes really want in bed?
I didn't even see that until you read it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Oh God, that's a Cosmo bit if I've ever seen one. That's awesome. Yeah. Harley, or Vicky noticed that. What superheroes want in bed? That's hilarious. Yeah. We definitely got an Avengers theme going on today. Cyberdoc says great work. Vicky says great work on the cover as well. Ricky loves the details on the cover. This is fantastic. Vicky says it's too cheap. No kidding. Yeah. Ricky says, I might have been a little tighter in the framing. I don't think the legs are too necessary, and then lay the Steve Rogers text right over him. Yeah, you could do it that way. I kind of like it as a full length, but you could definitely pull it in tighter if you wanted to, like, really focus. I think the problem with coming in too tight would be the shield. I think would get a little too overwhelming in that, but we'd have to see it. To know. By doing a full length, I think that allows the shield to not be quite so overwhelming and take up so much of the cover in the shot. But yeah, it's really, really cool. I
think if you were in tighter too, it'd be larger in the frame, and then you'd lose out on a lot of the cool text that you have in there too.
Right. Yeah, and the color scheme is really nicely done too, obviously playing into the Captain America colors.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Real quick, before we head on to the next photo, I do want to take a moment and just let you guys know that we would appreciate any support that you can give to these live streams, to the channel. There are a couple of different ways that you can do that. One is checking out the merch store, which is deleted. That's not right. It's supposed to be at shp.photo/merch. There it is. I typed it in wrong. Where you can get cool stuff like t-shirts and pins and a tote bag and phone cases. I want to order a phone case for my phone. And the hoodies. Yeah.
Order your own bag.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, why wouldn't I? The hoodies are there too, which is great. The hoodies are awesome. I love my hoodie. I wear it all the time. So lots of cool stuff there, and that helps support the show, which is always amazing. And if you wanted to become an ongoing supporter, you could check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Heniadis, where you could choose a level and join for a monthly bit from $1 up to whatever you want to do. Any amount of support is helpful. And while we're here, I need to shout out my current patrons, which include Drew and Mike Kaczynski and Tim Katanko and PM Images and shucks, I'm forgetting the other person, Elaine, who I don't think is with us tonight, but Elaine is also one of my patrons. So thank you to all of the patrons who support this. I really, really appreciate that. Any kind of support you can do is helpful. And if financial support through Patreon or the merch or a super chat or a donation or something isn't in the cards, then you could also help by telling people about the streams and encouraging them to submit their photos and join the show, letting them know about my channel and Mark's channel, and just letting people know that we're here and what we're doing. Sharing the videos, liking the videos, all of that stuff also helps as well. So thank you for all of the support that you do give. Please consider, any kind of support that you can offer is appreciated, and thank you for all of that. All right.
I know what you have to do.
What's that, Mark?
With your merch, can you do shower curtains?
Oh God, I should do a shower curtain. I don't know if a shower curtain's in there, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, so you need to get a shower curtain. Then it says on there, get out there and take some damn photos, and then you get yourself one of those hair things to keep your hair from getting wet and poke your head out like that. And so have your wife take a picture.
Oh my God, that would be absolutely hilarious. Yeah, Cochise Heart, the hoodie is great. That would be awesome if you're able to grab a hoodie. That would be super, super cool. All right, let's take a look at the next photo. This is Sandy Gedry's photo, and I love this shot. So let me get Sandy's info here. This was taken with Sandy's, I almost said Candy, I'm sorry. Sandy's T7i. This is 18 millimeter focal length, f4 aperture, 3200 ISO, and 1/25th of a second shutter speed. The ambient light was 1 light bulb, and she says, these toys belong to my sons who are over 40 years old and to me much older. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a lot of people keep their old toys. Some people don't. And in a case like this, the fact that you did keep them and thought to shoot this is pretty cool. Excuse me. It's kind of nice seeing all these old things, like you get the old Transformer up there, and a few other things like those old. I don't think those are Tonka trucks, but like the fire truck and that back there. It's a nice touch having them back there in the frame. A minor thing that it doesn't break the photo, but just the fact that the bottom of the suitcase is just slightly cut off. If they had backed up a little bit, it might have been nice to get the whole suitcase in there. But that's just a minor thing, and I just love the fact that it looks like it's in an old attic, which I'm assuming it actually is in an attic. But the only thing that kind of throws me off, but it's not all dusty and dirty, so
right.
You just sort of expect an attic to actually be dusty and dirty. But regardless, I think it's a great shot. Very just for the sentimental fact, because it's all year old and your family's toys. So. Mm-hmm.
This is Sandy says, if I had backed up anymore, I would have fallen down the stairs. We definitely don't want that. I will say that I don't mind that that corner of the suitcase is cut off. I understand you wanting it in there, Mark. For me, I don't think it matters, because the focus. Go ahead.
Critical for any stretch of imagination. That's critical. Is just. I think it's just my nature of being.
Yeah,
I'm one of these guys who sees a picture on the wall, and if it's off by just a hair, I have to fix it. So,
right.
So that's kind of what gets me, even though it's still perfectly fine like that. It's just one of those things, you know.
Yep. No, I totally understand. I respect that too. I love the nostalgia in this shot. I love this setup. It's very much. Ricky said Toy Story 5, and I got a total Toy Story vibe from this as well. Vicky says, I don't know whether to cry for days gone by or to feel nostalgic. Absolutely. Ricky says, I got a little bit of this vibe as soon as you said it too, Ricky. Vicky says, feeling a bit of a Goonies vibe, which is awesome. Awesome. Drew, did I thank you for being a patron? I think I got your name in there, but if I didn't, I'm sorry, Drew. because Drew's one of my patrons as well. Thank you, Drew. Hey, Edith, how you doing? Okay, sorry, back to the photo.
Hey.
Part of what I love here is exploring the different toys, seeing them, and like Mark noticed what looks like a transformer in the back when we were talking earlier. I love the dog and the other stuffed toy that's kind of like coming out. I see another transformer off to the side, and then the trucks in the background. And the fact that this is in an attic, like all of this has just a really wonderful, very nostalgic, very almost slightly melancholy feel to it, because it is in that attic, and it does feel a little bit like the Toy Story toys have been abandoned, and they're kind of sad here, piled up into the suitcase. So Sandy, this is really wonderful. It's beautiful. I think also that light and the warmth of the wood and the overall warmth of the shot is really good. I think it helps add to that nostalgia, and it also adds actually a little bit to the melancholy, because that warmth contrasts with the feeling of the toys in this blue kind of coldish suitcase, and it just has a really powerful impact. I think it's really well done. It's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Brenda says, great setting. I agree. Vicky says, it's the theme song Toys in the Attic, right? Yeah, Ricky, I couldn't remember Starscream's name, but yeah, it looks like 2 Optimus Primes. But the second one doesn't look, the one towards the middle doesn't look exactly like an Optimus. So I don't know what version of Optimus that might be, or if it's one of the other, I can't remember if there were any other semi ones that were like that. But yeah, this is, I love, and I was a huge Transformers fan too when I was younger. I love those toys, and I miss playing with them. So that hits me in the feels even more.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick reminder that if you haven't voted already, you can head over to shp.photo/vote. We're going to be closing the voting at the end of the show. We've got black and white in the heading with 43%, and reflections coming up behind it at 38%. So
right,
those are the right behind it. So those are the top 2 in the running. The link is in the chat. If you haven't voted already, go to shp.photo/vote to vote for the next challenge. And if you have suggestions for challenge ideas that you'd like us to include in the voting, go ahead and put them into the chat, or message myself or Mark, and we'll keep those in a list so that we can include those options in the future voting.
Yeah.
All right, so let us take a peek at this next shot here. And this, I believe, is actually our last shot of the evening. We don't have as many submissions this week, which is okay. This one is from Vicky, and this was shot with the Canon 70D with the Tamron 17-400mm f6.3, or I'm sorry, the 17-400mm at f6.3, 1/500th of a second in ISO 800. It is Starsky and Hutch, Coach Easthart. She says, I know Starsky's crotch is ripped out. And then she says, I couldn't do my original idea because I couldn't find 2 accomplices. Go ahead, Mark.
I hate it when that happens.
Right.
This is another great toy photo, and this is another one that's a great composition too, because again, we're using the rule of thirds here, and actually rule of thirds then leading lines, because you basically you're following his legs up to his crotch, where you kind of stop because it's ripped, and then continue your way up to the photo, and you see all the details in the logs here, and the leaves that are there, and everything else, and it's nicely executed. I really like this one. It's nothing really stands out saying I would change this or change that. I think the way it's set up and the way it's executed is nicely done.
I agree. It looks and feels like a promo shot that like the actual actors that played Starsky and Hutch would be in for Starsky and Hutch.
For the show.
Yeah, for the show, exactly. Yeah, and I love, like, okay, so Cyberdoc says those 70s Levi's always packed too tight and ripped. which is pretty funny too, because it's just, I love the execution of this as well. It feels very natural, very much like a posed promo photo shoot. The lighting looks really, really great. The logs as kind of the background help set those off, set Starsky and Hutch off, because if they were just against like a bunch of greenery, I think that would be a little too much and they'd get a little lost on that. But the darker aspect of the logs helps set the two of them off nicely. And you get a good feel for them. And it is. There's like a ton of nostalgias feels tonight with these toys, which I think is really cool. And it's fun to be able to take our toys back out, our old toys, our kid toys, so to speak, and play with them in this way with the photography. I love what you did here, Vicky, with this. I think it flows nicely too, because you come in and start. I don't know which one's which. You come in on whose crotch is ripped out, because that's the one. Starsky's crotch. Starsky's sitting down. So Starsky's crotch. His legs kind of flow you in and then up, and then you get into Hutch, and then there's that curvature of the log, which kind of flows you in, and then there's more curvature underneath that log, which kind of pulls you back around into a loop. Like, it's really a nicely done composition and a fun photo. I do love how it feels like a promo shot, like almost like a movie poster, like the Starsky and Hutch movie poster.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Drew added a last-minute photo, which is awesome. So we'll take a look at that one as well. He said, I added a photo. I needed to take my mind off of a not-so-good weekend, and I found a Lego model that needed to get built. That's awesome. So this is the shot from Drew, and this is the Lego model in the works. Go ahead, Mark.
No, just waiting for it to open up for me here so I can see it. Oh, there we go. Cool. That's kind of cool. It's actually like a new Lego model. It's all the bags and everything are sealed. Mm-hmm. This would be like a good product shot for something like this, because you're seeing the start of the build happening. You've got all the bags of everything there, and then you there as well too. So that's cool. A couple of minor things is, I'm not sure what it is, but on the right hand side is like a green object that's sitting there on the rug. I'm not sure if that's part of the kit or if that's something else. Maybe it's part of that box that everything's sitting on. Mm-hmm. I might be tempted to if you hadn't shot it yet, make sure it's hidden out of the way. But seeing as it's already shot, you could probably edit that out, unless again it's part of the kit. I'm not sure. Also, in the top right corner, you get something black there. It looks like somebody's knee or something. And again, at the top, you got that blue thing there. If you cropped it a little bit tighter, then you wouldn't have that distraction up there. But I definitely do like the concept and see exactly what you're aiming for here. So kudos for that for sure.
Yep. Cyberdoc's got to head out. So good night, Cyberdoc. Thank you for joining as usual. Cyberdoc. Yep, always appreciate it. Drew says it's part of the kit. It's glass.
Okay.
So which piece is that? Is that the green piece you're talking about, or something else?
No, it was the green piece that's just sort of breaks, almost like it's half hidden underneath the stand there.
Okay, yeah. Coach Easthart says Lego, the barefoot worst enemy. Yeah, absolutely. I loved playing and building with Lego when I was a kid. So this brings back a ton of memories for me. I do agree with what you said, Mark, like the distracting elements up in the corner, that cord, that bit of a box or whatever, and that thing up in the upper right. Those things are worth taking a second to either crop out or Photoshop out. And a quick white balance fix on this, I think, would look nice too, because it's definitely very warm. And in this shot, because the booklet is out and the Lego base is a white piece, that color cast is a little bit too much for me, at least, for the shot.
Yeah, see, I didn't mind that, because for me, it kind of gave it like an antique kind of feel. I wouldn't really want to say antique, but like you buy an old Nintendo system that's been out and is yellow, that's sort of a feeling for it. And for me, Lego feels, even though Lego's still in existence and you can buy brand new kits, but to me, Lego just feels like something made out and maybe a little yellowed over with age. So for me, I don't mind it myself.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. I think what I like most about this shot, though, is how the story it tells. Like you said, you know, this is a build in progress. You've got all the pieces laid out. You've got the instruction booklet so that you can get through it. And it's definitely a thing that's like going to take your mind into a different place. And I used to love going into that place with my Lego, and this picture takes me to that same place again, and thinking about builds and wishing that I still had Lego that I could build and play with, because that would be super fun. I wish it wasn't so darn expensive to buy that stuff anymore. It's just crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Vicky says, I still love playing with Lego. It's a good thing I've got grandkids to play with. Ricky says, I used to dump them all in the brown box and sort through them. The noise drove my mom nuts. Right? Yeah, and I'm sure stepping on them drove all of our parents nuts back in the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, wonderful memories with Lego. Definitely, absolutely loved Legos. Yeah, Drew, this is a great shot. It tells a great story, and appreciate you sharing that. I'm gonna apologize real quick. I don't know why the picture from the iPad keeps flickering as badly as it does. I think
I thought it was just my screen.
No, I think the adapter might not like seat properly, so I'm gonna have to look at maybe try a different adapter to try to prevent that. So sorry about that flickering that's been going on. Drew says, even at 33, it was the distraction I needed. The shot is straight out of the camera. Yeah, and sometimes that's exactly what we need, is just a distraction to take us away from the thing that our brain is all tied up about, and to let us go to a different place and let that thing go for a bit. And Lego is a great way to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all of the photos that we have tonight. So we are going to wrap this up here in a couple of minutes, which means this is your last chance to vote for the next challenge. And you can do that at shp.photo/vote. So if you haven't already, head over there. And I'm going to do the wrap up here. And then after the wrap up, we will announce the next challenge. And that will be it. So here's the wrap up, which is, once again, we appreciate any and all support that you guys can give. And if you wanted to check out the merch store at shp.photo/merch and pick up some cool merch there, that would be amazing. And that is a wonderful way to support what we do here. And if you wanted to go a little bit further, you can check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Heniadis, where you can consider becoming a monthly patron for as little as $1 a month. And that support helps. It is tremendous. So, you know, if that's all you could do, that would still be absolutely amazing. And if financial support isn't an option, which again, totally understand, because sometimes it's just not in the cards. Supporting, what was that, Mark?
No, just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes with the connection, I'm not sure if you're trying to say more or not. All right. But yeah, if financial support isn't in the cards, totally respect that, and don't want anybody to feel bad about that. You can also support this by liking the videos, sharing the videos, and inviting people to the show and to participate in the challenge with us, so that we can all share in this thing that we love and grow in photography more. Let people know about the channel so they can come and watch the videos and hopefully subscribe if they like it and learn. All of that is also a wonderful and very welcome way to support what we do here. So thank you for all of you for everything that you do. I appreciate it. And with that, let us take a look at what the challenge is going to be. Cochise Heart said black and white, and Sandy says it's too easy. Come on, choose reflections. I think we know what Sandy wants to do.
Black and white.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Sandy, it's going to be black and white, because that is the clear winner at 45%. So that is the official challenge for the next challenge photo blab, which is 2 weeks from tonight. That will be July 1st is when photos are due. So I'm just going to put this into the chat. Next challenge is black and white. Photos due July 1. Edith says, I'll do my best to participate in the challenge. Okay, that's getting super obnoxious, so I'm going to turn that away. But there we go. But for Sandy, it has to be black and white reflections. Yeah, there we go. That's hilarious.
There you go.
All right, so that is a wrap for us tonight. Sandy says I'm doing a black and white reflection anyway. All right, high five to that, Sandy. That you're awesome. I can't wait to see that shot.
Yeah.
This will be interesting for me too, because as you guys know, I don't tend to shoot black and white, and so number one, it'll be a challenge to me just to make sure I get it done, since I'm kind of behind on things now. But number two, to deliberately shoot something in black and white that I think is going to be good will be something that I'm going to have to think a little bit about. So I'm looking forward to this challenge. I think it's going to be fun.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it, as always. Mark, do you have anything you want to add before we close this baby out?
No, I don't think everybody's photos. I just wish I had got to do one for it, because I had actually been thinking of trying to do a force perspective. But maybe if time allows, I'll still get out there and give it a try. But we'll see what comes of that. But otherwise, that's it. Hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday, and which is an open night.
Yes. Next week's open challenge, so anything. And I might try to do my toy photo for next week, since I didn't get to do it this week, and just share it then. But either way, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful week. And we'll see you. I'll see you on Friday for the next edit, and Wednesday for the business windup if you're going to join. But either way, have a great one. Make sure you get out there and take some damn photos.
Bye everyone.